Hey guys and gals, welcome to part 2 of episode 12 for Forgetting Walls podcast. If you stumbled on this podcast episode first, you probably want to go back and listen to part 1 because you will be pretty lost if you haven't. So check out part 1 if you haven't, and if you have, enjoy part 2. Here we go. Already in session. So what I want to do now, because we're running, it's about an hour and 40 minutes now.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I'm telling you.
Feels like 30.
I could literally
minutes,
splice this up and do this again.
Yeah.
I'm like, we could do a whole nother recording for next week, and just, I'm down for it. But
whatever, I'll drive straight to work.
I'm down. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's the thing. Because see, Graham being on the podcast with us this late is kind of special because he goes to work at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Like
Jeez.
legit 2:00 in the morning. That boy's dedicated.
Yep.
To a point.
I'm not to a point. He's right.
To a point. Hey, to a point. Because I know. But so what I want to do is give everybody a chance to like ask a question that may be on your mind about the church, so we could discuss it, or something that's what kind of resonated with you, or something we've talked about tonight. Because I do a lot of talking. It's just because I don't want a lot of dead space, and then if I stop talking, everybody's like, I don't know what to say. So, and I guess it's not really my nature, though. I mean, I wasn't born with that nature. I hated talking in front of people. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I love being the center of attention now because I'm such a narcissist.
Sure as hell love it now.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a narcissist now, man.
You should be a pastor. You became a youth pastor.
Hey, I learned from the best pastors of getting all the attention, so it's good.
Reverend Keith.
Reverend dude. I remember that day. I remember, in getting old ordained and getting the hands laid on, which was a strange event.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not
took so long.
It was forever.
I fell asleep like twice.
Look. As much as it was painful for y'all had no idea, because being on your knees on a bench and guys coming up and laying their hands on you and praying over you, and it's like, I appreciated it. I thought it was awesome. It's an awesome event to be ordained in that nature, to have hands laid on and prayed. But shorten your prayer a bit, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I love the prayers, and I know they were being honest and sincere from their hearts. But man, it was like 35 minutes, man, and I had bad knees.
Yeah.
It was tough. But after
Carpet?
Well, they had those little altar benches things with the cushions on the top, but they really weren't soft because they were pretty worn out.
Like that, a form of torture is like making people sit on their knees with like rice underneath.
Well, that's what it is. God's testing your ability to be durable,
That's tough.
to strive through.
Take a break in the middle, just like walk
It's like,
around.
can I get up and get a glass of water? But and the funny, it was kind of a cool service because I was probably the only, and I'll say this, I was probably the only youth pastor ever ordained in a Baptist church with a woman ordained minister praying over them.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Nikki did it.
Oh snap! Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Last person.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. And then of course I had Turner and Seth and Haley and all them playing. And after the service, Turner was the one. He's like, "What's up, Reverend dude?" It kind of stuck. But anyways, side note. So I just really want to open it up and let everybody else just kind of get a chance to, pick everybody else's brains about something. And honestly, just ask anything you want, say anything you want within reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do I need to fill the space, or somebody going to say something? I hate to hear myself laugh too. I laugh funny.
Too.
I'm not looking forward to that.
That's something that's strange because Kim goes, "You all have weird laughs." Like me and Justin, and then Andy's on. Oh, it's bad. And then Jack. Jack's the great. Let me just ask a question. Has anybody listened to episodes with Jack yet?
Yes.
No. So okay, listen to the episodes with Jack with us, and listen to all of us
bellowing laugh.
That is
so great though. It fills the room.
It does. When he laughs, I feel happy, like Santa Claus is laughing.
Yeah.
I do. I really do. It's so. We need to get Jack in the room with us. That would be great fun. Just because he's just. And that's what I'm saying. Like, think about that for you guys and everybody else who's a Christian. I mean, Jack is a admitted atheist agnostic. Doesn't believe that there is a God, but is open to the possibilities. Hey, that's cool. But man, and he does not believe like us. I mean, he's so knowledgeable about he says stuff from the Bible. I was like, man, you know that? That's pretty decent. That's cool. But he's so fun to hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, so what's the problem, Christian America? Grab you an atheist friend and hang out. It's not going to send you to hell. Yeah. It's just not.
But I think that's one of the problems with the church in America is we feel like, oh, we've got an atheist, we have to convert them. And speaking from...
I've got a friend that's an atheist. He might actually be willing to talk.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun.
That would be cool. But like speaking from a Christian perspective, speaking from my perspective, this is me. You do not have to believe like I do, but you probably should. We
have another narcissist on the show.
We don't save anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. The gospel itself, combined with the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit is what saves. So why are we hounding people, like, trying to beat it into their head? Present them the gospel, love them, and just love them.
Okay,
just do what you do.
And I was going to make this point earlier because I forgot and I played it off like I wasn't even having a point, but... Nobody can see what I'm doing.
A little happy dance.
It's a happy dance. But... oh my gosh. We're so unprofessional. But I made this statement, and it's in the same region. Whether the person is, whether you say they're a gay person or an atheist person or anybody out there, don't you think that since Jesus said, if you love them, they'll see me. If you just go out, you just be that. I mean, yes, you got to speak the gospel because you can't really come to saving grace without knowing the gospel. But I think most people have heard basically who Jesus is in America to a point. Not everybody, but to a point. If you start building a relationship with somebody and you just love them and you speak to them and you do all the things you're supposed to as a Christian, so to speak, you're teaching them about your faith, not trying to beat it across their head, and you tell them about Jesus and say, this is what I believe, and I understand you don't believe the way I do, and I understand you don't do the things I do. That's fine. It doesn't change the fact that I still love you as a person because I built this relationship with you. Don't you think that, and this may be a little reformed of me.
Yes.
It took us an hour and 45 minutes to get to a reformed thing.
Thank God.
Amen. Sovereignty.
The Lord is in the room. Lord's with us tonight.
But don't you think in the very sovereign nature of who God is, if we do what we're supposed to do, He'll do what He needs to do?
Oh gosh, yes.
And I know that may sound very hokey and weird to people who don't believe in God and don't believe that there's a God. But I believe, and I'll say this, and not saying, yes, I believe about homosexuality a certain way, but a person, I believe if I just love them as a person, treat them as they're supposed to be, if that's something that's supposed to happen, if they're going to come to Christ, they're going to come to Christ and do whatever they do in their life with Christ, between them and Christ. And it's not going to be about me, just like you just said. We don't save anybody. So if we took, you can't take evangelism out of the fact that we are Christians. You can't take the fact that we have to spread the message of the gospel. We talked about it last night. Me and Justin were like trying to formulate an actual statement of what Christians' ultimate goal is.
Right.
So if it is to know Jesus, to come to that saving grace and knowledge of Jesus, there's a point of where we do have to tell them.
Right.
But I think we do it, and I think it's being done in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It doesn't always have to be the first thing you say when you go to meet someone. When you go out to make relationships or friends or whatever, when you're just hanging 10 at the grocery store and you see somebody wearing a cool shirt and you're like, I'd listen to that band.
Right.
You just do your thing eventually through that relationship.
Yeah, I noticed the shirt, Brooks. Yeah.
I wonder if they know Christ. After you know that person, you get curious.
Well, and I think it comes out. It can come out, and I got a story I had. We were coming back from Hawaii, from my father-in-law's funeral, and we were in the airport in L.A. and we sat down, and this gentleman sat down with us, and he was talking to us, and we were just talking, and we just kind of got into this conversation about, we started talking about God, and he started talking about God too. But to come to find out that he was a Muslim, and he found out that we were Christians. And we had this beautiful conversation about our faiths. Of course, neither one of us changed our minds about what we believe, but we had these beautiful conversations about our faith, and it was never at any point that I said, we said, well, we don't really believe that way, we see this, and then he would say something about Jesus, this, and this, and we asked questions to each other, and it was like I could have this guy in this room right now with us, and he would be a part of the gang.
Yep.
And it wouldn't be any different, even though he was Muslim in his faith. He was, and people go, well, Muslims aren't but this guy was so loving and compassionate, and he had such a grace about him that, you could almost mistake, the crazy thing was you could almost mistake his personality and his demeanor for being a Christian, the way you would see Jesus being, right? And we was trying to be the same way. Not that we changed each other, and maybe we rubbed off on him a little bit, maybe he rubbed off on us a little bit, that he made me thinking that way. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those moments where, instead of just like, you're wrong, you're Muslim, you're going to hell kind of thing because I'm a Christian, it was more along the lines of, okay, you believe the way you do, I believe the way I do, and we're going to sit here and have a great conversation. Yeah. And it was. Why can't... if God's... okay, Calvinistic reform.
Yes.
If God is sovereign, it's all in his hands, right?
Yeah.
If you believe that way or not, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't even think you have to be like fully reformed 5 points to believe that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm not, and I totally think that it is in God's hands.
And there's nothing we can do as human beings to make anybody different, because did we do it on our own?
No.
Is anybody sitting here knowing Christ as their Savior because they did something? And so why do we try to treat people in such a respect that we're going to change them when we weren't changed by anybody or ourselves?
Yeah.
It's just, it kind of blows my mind, honestly, that, think about this. All right. Jesus says where 2 or 3 are gathered, I'm there. Okay, that's cool. And church is not a building, but it's the people of Christ who make up the church.
Right.
So we're sitting here cutting up, having fun, talking some serious stuff. This is no less than what church is. The church is supposed to be. We're gathering. People, in Hebrews it says, don't forsake the gatherings. Mm-hmm. Does gatherings have to be Sunday morning? And I understand we're in the Southeast, we're in the Bible Belt, and people love their Sunday morning services. But if people don't go to a Sunday morning service, does it make them a heathen?
People love their traditions around here.
Well, no, I get that. And I get culture and tradition drives how people believe, I think. I think culture changes people's faiths and beliefs. But I think there's things that are core, like me and Justin have talked about before. There's things that are core. There are these core values that you can't skip if you're going to be Christian. And that one core thing is that Jesus is God and the way. That's it. And if you don't believe that, hey,
sorry,
that's fine.
Yeah.
But
if you say, well, if you don't believe that, then I just, you know what? I've got to X you off my list of people I can be around.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that that I really want to get rid of here. I say sometimes, maybe we should start our own church. But and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind preaching on a Saturday night and telling people don't show up Sunday morning because we don't do anything. But it's, and I kind of miss that, guys. I kind of miss the message portion. Maybe that's why I do so much talking on the podcast. But
maybe.
But if you really change the way you dealt with people, do you think that we could have more? Like you said, we don't save people. There's nothing we can do to bring to a person. But if we change the way we did things and dealt with people, do you think we would see more change to knowing Christ? And even in today's culture, do you think we would see a growth in Christianity where now I think it's more stagnant, especially in America, or on the decrease?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I think, if like I was saying before, if we started with a relationship, and seemed so open and clear, like we were talking about, and didn't put ourselves up on pedestals or anything like that, it would leave an unbeliever more open to ask questions, to let their heart be softened, by God, and I don't know, just be curious about it.
Right.
And it's like before, the person that taught it first, before Keith, she always told us that if there were people that weren't believers, that didn't believe the way we believe, to get away from them. To, like you said, X them off your list and cross them out. And I wonder if a lot of other people are taught that way.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree people are taught that way.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, there was a point where I almost taught that.
Yeah.
To a point.
Mm-hmm.
But not fully, because I still felt there was a need to be around. I always kind of promoted being around people who weren't Christians and building friendships with them. I mean, I was always, the dating portion, I was a little different.
Right.
But I felt that, I really felt that it was more beneficial to be out there. But I do agree with you, Brooks, that there are a lot of people being taught that you have to separate yourself from the world. You can't be.
They're dragging you down.
Yeah, they're going to drag you down.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know a lot of people in the church that drag people down every day, and it's nothing about them not being in church.
Right.
There was a really good article I read the other day that's very closely related to this. I think it was on Desiring God, and it was talking about how we so often say "in but not of the world," that we should be in but not of the world. And this person, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't John Piper, but it was one of the writers for Desiring God. They were saying we should modify that to a point and say "in but not of," but also "to," because we as Christians, though we are in the world and we are not of the world, we should be to the world. We should be out going to the world and seeking these people. We should be seeking them to love and seeking them to make disciples, spread the gospel.
There's no way you're going to make disciples by ostracizing people.
Right.
Yeah, well, you don't know what's going on. I think that's something, everyone in this group has probably talked about, that if you don't know what's going on in the world, how can you talk to them? If you don't know these people.
And what kind of message that sends. If you're crossing people off your list because you don't think you should be around them, that doesn't send out a positive image of
And I will say one thing. I think what those people are trying to do by teaching that, and I think if they are giving that message in that way, saying that you shouldn't be around non-Christians, they're doing it wrong. But I think maybe what they're trying to do is saying you should separate yourself from sin, which to an extent is a good thing.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're totally separating yourself from sinful people,
it's a case-by-case thing.
How are you,
don't be around enablers.
Well, right, exactly. Maybe if you're telling people, okay, you stumble at this, maybe you should try to not be around this sin.
Right.
Okay, that's one thing. But to say that Christians should not be around non-Christians is...
That's taking it way too far.
Totally backwards.
Yeah, I know in my senior days of high school, I had to quit hanging out with a certain group of people because they always wanted to smoke weed.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is something that I shouldn't be doing. This is something I'm struggling with right now. And I was like, I can't hang out with this group of friends right now because that's what I'm going to end up doing, because they're going to be there in the peer pressure, and I'm just not going to put myself into that temptation.
You don't have glaucoma?
Not yet.
And it's like my coworkers in alcohol, they know I have problems with that stuff, but they still try to get me to drink after work all the time. But I just don't stay.
Well, and I think there is, and I don't think this is a Christian thing. I think being around certain groups of people are not healthy for a lot of people.
Yeah. Peer pressure's everywhere.
Yeah, and like Brooks is saying, Brooks shouldn't be drinking alcohol and medications. He has certain medications he has taken. It interacts with his medications.
Right.
So even though he may want to drink, he shouldn't be drinking. But being around a crowd that drinks all the time is not healthy for him as a human being, as a person. So yes, step away from that. It doesn't have, and honestly, it doesn't have to do anything with being a Christian.
Exactly.
It has everything to do with being a person.
Right.
Yes, I agree. Christians shouldn't be hanging out with people who are sacrificing human beings to foreign gods. Okay, yes.
I don't know.
I just don't want to be one of those sacrifices.
I mean, case by case thing, like I was saying. That's all.
I mean, I'd what?
Well,
I mean, they have cool robes. I'm sorry, continue. I'm so sorry.
Wicked dagger.
Will they have fried chicken? Fried chicken be there?
well, and
I mean, I don't know. If there's food.
look, let's not worry about time. I've already realized I'm going to do 2 parts to this. We're going to release 2 parts this week.
Okay.
Yes.
So don't worry about it. But the reality is you can't expect you yourself as a human being to be around certain people that are unhealthy for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I can use any like obvious scenario. Don't hang out with people who are dealing drugs that are illegal. Don't hang out with people who are street racing illegal, because if you do those things, you may get arrested and it may put you in jail, and it's going to hurt you as a person.
Right.
And I understand, in like we said, Christian groups, there are extremes, but sometimes you still have to put yourself out there in those places to meet those people. I mean, I take Paul's words to an extreme: be all things to all men. I'm not gonna jump into their sin with them. I'm not gonna. And gosh, that sounds so absolute Christian.
Yeah.
I really hated that, but yeah, I'm not going to do the things that I believe I shouldn't be doing with them. But it doesn't mean I can't be around them and hang out with them. And if that thing tempts me to a place that I shouldn't be doing,
And it's like, I mean, I'm going to be a little narcissistic here talking about me again, but you have a beer. You're drinking a beer.
Yes.
And I've been eyeing it all night. But
He's not the only one.
Yeah. But you haven't once, I mean, you haven't offered any of us one, but that's fine. But you know me.
Yeah, what the hell, Keith?
yeah. And I meant to send the text that if you wanted a beer, you had to bring your own beer.
Yeah.
But
I'm not going to cut you out because you're doing that, and you've never.
Well, and I want to talk about that because I think this is a big problem with Christians in the church too. Seeing this is this whole idea of making people stumble.
Right. Right.
I'm at my house. I do have a beer. And it's actually done, so I'm kind of thirsty. I need to get some water, but had a beer. But and honestly, if I would have thought about it through more, I shouldn't even had that beer in front of Brooks, because in my Christian walk, am I making him stumble because he's looking at it? Is that really a stumbling block? And I'm like, well, maybe it is, but you talk about people who cuss. You don't cuss in front of people because it's going to cause them to stumble. So I'm going to cause a person to cuss because how am I making them stumble and fall into sin through what I'm doing? Like, when we're talking about drinking, like if I go to a bar and have a beer, mm-hmm. or if I'm at a restaurant that has a bar and I'm having a beer at the restaurant, right? And a person comes in and they see you drinking a beer, they go, "You're going to cause somebody to stumble."
Right.
Well, really? You go into a place, so I'm the one who's going to do it, because I'm the only one in the restaurant drinking a beer.
Like Tuesday. I mean, how many people were we eating with that had beers?
Right.
Yeah, and.
And
some,
if Brooks would have came by and said, man, I'm having a big deal with it. He said, look, I'm just having issues with it. I can't be around it. Keith would have never popped out a beer. Exactly.
And because I trust y'all well enough to know, and certain people apologize for it, but I wouldn't have joked about it and talked about it
exactly.
if I had it's a problem. I think about it a lot, but
I get that.
I think there's a point kind of in the middle, because at the same time you're not going to be causing him specifically to stumble,
right?
But you also don't want to put the person in a situation where they're going to feel
you don't want to give person the means
doing something that they shouldn't.
No, yeah.
So I think there's a happy medium, somewhere.
No, and there is. I just think that Christians use the word a stumbling block, a little too loosely and a little overbearingly, because really a stumbling block. I mean, am I the cause of your sin, which you're probably going out Monday after church sinning in much other ways, and am I the cause of that too? I think people take it. I think people take it to a whole nother level. It's like, oh my gosh, I can tell you 100 stories of times I've heard stuff in the church about doing this or that, and some of the things are very socially unjust, and I won't get into those because that's a whole nother ball game. But you think about those things. It's like, you're right. Peer pressure sucks, and I think that's more the thing. When you're around other people, if you're comfortable with being around certain things, it's one thing. But when people start, hey Brooks, do you want this? Do you want that? And believe me, I know I've been down those roads. I've succumbed to peer pressure plenty of times in my life. Yeah. Mainly because I was always looking for attention, and succumbing to peer pressure was the one way that you got attention, because if they say, hey, you want to do this? You felt like you were part of the crowd. You felt like you were, oh yeah, believe me. I remember when I was in high school, of course, when I was in high school, I wasn't a Christian, obviously, because nobody spoke to me about Jesus. I blame the Christians. But, I remember the first time that, I skipped, well, not the first time I skipped school, but one day I skipped school, and the first time I smoked weed with somebody. And I'm like, I was around people, my friends that I thought, and they're like, hey, we're doing it. You want to do it too? And I'm like, sounds like a good idea. Yeah. I mean, if y'all doing it, I'll do it, And then that happens. That's a stumbling block.
Absolutely.
If you go to a bar, okay, if you have a pornography problem, don't go to the strip club.
Right.
And then blame somebody for tipping the stripper being a stumbling block.
There you go. Exactly.
But the ribs there are just so good.
Hey, if you're going for the ribs,
I love their buffet.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're going for the ribs, they're throwing you out the club. Stop touching the girls. No, that's that. But I mean, it's just one of those things where you start looking at. You start really looking at what's going on inside the church, and you ask yourself, man, is this real? Is this really what we're supposed to be? Is this who we are? Can we actually stand up here and say, yeah, we're doing it right, and that's why everybody loves us? I don't know. It's one of those mind-boggling things that I'm still trying to get over here, and that's the thing here when we're talking about forgetting walls. We're like, what is it that we have to do? And we, being in the church, being Christians, we have to do something differently. Because what we're doing, honestly, is not working. I don't care what somebody go to the Barna Group and check out some statistics and tell me what the church is really doing today, legitimately. There's a drop.
Yeah.
Tell us what our young people are doing. It's the biggest drop.
Yeah, leaving.
If I was to say I want to invite 50 kids that are still Christians, I mean, like legit Christians in college today that was in my youth group. Do you think I could do it?
No,
nope.
Man. You probably be lucky to find 20, and that's sad.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, and I thought I was doing it right.
Yeah, I would say from my experience, you generally were.
And that's and that's tough for me. And it doesn't make me feel bad. I mean, it does affect me emotionally because I'm like, that sucks. Mm-hmm. But I know this because this is what I know. And if any youth pastors are listening to, heck, if any pastors are listening to this, and I really pray that some do, dude, you're not saving people. And you're not going to keep those kids or those people in church because it's everything that affects them outside those walls that solidifies their faith. If a child comes to kids ministry, children's ministry, preteen ministry, in between ministry, and then they hit youth ministry, and all those things have gone well, and all those ministers have done their job and taught the gospel and played all the right games and done all those things, right? And you've done all the things that you needed to do, right? Listen up, Robbie.
Squeaky chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's back.
This is for Robbie because he's going to be a youth minister one day.
Right.
I'm so scared for him.
I'm scared for myself.
If their environment doesn't solidify their own faith, they're not going to have their own faith. They're going to be something different. They're not going to be what you taught them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I realized. We're fighting. I feel that Christians are fighting with all these people outside the walls about having faith and why aren't you in church anymore and you never come. They never think that asking them the real personal questions about what do you really believe, not what you should believe, but what's going on, so we can talk about this. Why are you there instead of here? And it doesn't matter if you're in an actual church or not. It doesn't make you less of a Christian. I don't think, anyways. but you're laying this almost guilt trip on them because they don't have a faith like you, but you never realize that their faith, they may never come into their own faith. They're out there trying, they're like Brooks said, he's constantly struggling with his faith.
Yeah.
What should a Christian do in that situation? I'll ask you that. Say Brooks is anybody. Maybe you don't know him. Maybe you're just learning to know him. Maybe he's somebody that he's been acquaintance of for a couple weeks, or maybe a few months, or maybe he's a close friend. And he goes, you know what, guys? I'm struggling with my faith. How do you interact with that? And let's just say like this. Maybe he doesn't even know if he's a Christian.
Yeah.
Maybe he's struggling with the part that he doesn't even know if Jesus is real or God's real, or maybe he's borderline on that atheist, Christian teeter-totter. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? What are you saying? How are you reacting to this? Because honestly, this is one of our big problems inside the walls.
I feel like just me in situations like this, I try not to shoot right to the problem and just be like, well, let me figure out how to deal with this and fix you. Because, I don't know, that's been done to me, I guess, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to be somebody's problem to fix.
Exactly.
Do you feel like that's how people approach you most of the time, Brooks?
Yes. Like I'm a broken faucet or something.
Yeah. Mm. Like, let me just wrap some tape around
Yeah.
When that
like good
catch.
When that happens, like you say you're having trouble with your faith,
mm-hmm.
do people just start like giving you options, or do they say, "Well, what's causing this for you?"
No one has
even asked what.
No one has ever asked me why or what it is. They've all said, "You're a child of God. He loves you. He's always there for you, son." Or whoever. And that that you are you're like I did it. Like I'm the one that made me have this crisis. You know what I mean?
And people do. They say, well, if you did this differently or you did that differently, then you wouldn't have these issues, right?
Yeah, they hard enough.
They turn it into a blame game, and it's like that's not the game we're playing.
Yeah.
Honestly, again, from a Christian perspective, I think that there's really two things we need to start out by doing in that situation. I think the first, one of the most important things we need to be doing is genuine prayer about the situation. And that's going to seem a little passive to anyone who's not a Christian who may be listening to this, but to us, prayer from a genuine child of God about issues is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Second, we need to actually legitimately listen, because that helps so much. Not even if you're a Christian struggling with your faith, but any issue you're going through, one of the biggest things someone can do for you is just legitimately listen to what's going on.
Exactly. Just shut your mouth and listen to what the other person has to say.
Them speak.
Yes.
Because that's a problem that I have, and I've written about it, but is that I want to be the fixer. I want to be the person who goes around and, like, somebody tells me their problem, I'm like, okay, well, here's what you can do, or here's some advice.
I'm like that too, yeah.
I want to be, because I want to be helpful. That's, like, my personality. I want to help people. But it comes across a lot of times as, like, I'm trying to solve your problems for you. Don't worry, I've got it for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of I've learned the value in just shutting my mouth and listening to what another person has to say. And, yeah, that's what, when Keith asked the question, what my first reaction was, what I would be is like, okay, well, let's talk about it. What's, what's going on?
That's another better reaction than someone saying, like, I've also had people tell me, well, a lot of people have that problem.
Oh,
like,
gosh, that's so bad.
It's like, that's cool. That's great, but that doesn't help me.
I still have it.
Yeah.
Because, it's coming from good intentions, like, oh, don't worry, but it's almost like minimalizing the problem. Like, oh, yeah, that's a lot of problem. That's nothing.
Well, it's like...
And it's true, and to you, it's like, that's not nothing to me. It's huge.
And when I was diagnosed, like, bipolar disorder and stuff, that's what they tell. They're like, look, millions of people have it. And I'm like, that awesome, cool.
But I have.
But I hope the best for those that have it. I sincerely do. but that doesn't make me feel better about it.
Right.
You got a demon.
Yeah, I've only heard that once.
That's because you're around Baptist people.
Yeah, it's bad. And I'll throw it out there. I'm related to this person, but
Well, and that's it drives me insane because I get it.
Yeah.
I think as Christians, like if you're legitimately connected to Christ and you really love Him and you know He really loves you, and you know His purpose and His love that is supposed to be for everybody else, you want to give that person the same hope and the grace and mercy you feel.
Right.
And you're right. We want to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to retrain ourselves that the way it's been done
Isn't working.
exactly it's not working. And if it was working, why do we have the problems we have today?
Right.
exactly.
Man, Bruce is just on it.
I'm so glad we're all on the same page. This has been such a breath of fresh air.
I think there's a key. What you said just now, kind of therein lies the key to what we're doing wrong. We're not the ones that can really, truly give the grace and the mercy. Now, we can extend grace and we can extend mercy, but the peace that we have does not come from other human beings. It comes directly from God.
Right.
And us trying to... It's like we're almost deifying ourselves, saying, we can do this, we can fix you,
Exactly,
I have all the answers. No, you don't.
Well, and I think there's a point where just being human and having this idea that everybody is human, I believe that peace, true peace does come from God, but there's also this piece of just being a human being with another human being. People say, well, I got to come down to your level. You don't have to come down to my level because we're on. If you realize that we're all on the same level and you're not better than me just because you may have more money or, you've been in the same church for 300 years and you're a vampire. I don't know. But but whatever it is, you're no better than I am. And I'm no better than you.
My dream.
And see, that was the thing. And I think that's one of the things people miss too. It's like, we talk about Jesus and, He's God, but man, when Jesus was man and He walked, He didn't, even though He was going to be glorified to God and He never put Himself over anybody else.
Right.
And that was the thing. And it's like, you got to see that as a human being, even though Jesus was God, and even though He had that mentality that He could do, I'm God. His humanity didn't overshadow anybody else's humanity. And if we walked in those same footsteps, you see that just being human can bring a sense of peace at the same time. That you can bring a person peace, even though we have a very weird situation going on in my garage.
I've just been looking out the corner of my eye this entire time and trying not to laugh. I'm sorry.
We can't do anything seriously here.
Ryan and Brooke snuggling on the couch.
Ryan whispers in my ear, I'm trying to make Dad laugh.
See, Ryan will never stop trying to poke the bear in one form or another. I see what you're saying, Keith, and it's a very good point. We can't give true peace without God, but there's also this mentality we should have that we can bring a certain amount of peace to a human being by showing, and we do it out of the knowledge and understanding of our salvation with Christ. But I believe even if you separated that from yourself for a moment and going, but they're just like me. And if I treat them just like me, there will be some sort of comfort there. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this, just to clarify so nobody thinks I'm a complete heretic. I believe,
a little bit of one.
Yeah, I do believe that when you come to know humanity truly, is when you come to know Christ truly. I mean, there's a lot of people out there saying, well, we're humanists and we're this and that. But there's still a level of agenda, of selfishness. There's still a level of narcissism that goes into that because I don't think any human being does anything truly with a selfless act, with a selfless mentality. I just don't believe it. There's always some motive behind it for human beings. But when you come to that point where you truly treat humanity in equality, I think that's when you can truly understand Christ too. That's when the only way Christians can truly be human at a humanity level is to know who Christ is, because that's coming to the point where you love everybody like yourself. You love everybody to the point where you will put them above yourself.
Yeah.
And I believe, and hey, atheists will call BS on me all day long on this. Other people call BS on me all day long on this, but I believe that's the only way to come to that true place of loving humanity at that level is only through Christ.
And maybe that's what we're missing as a church today. Maybe it's the humility of realizing that you are, here's the reform coming out, totally depraved. Like,
well, no, yeah, I agree
that you're no better than anyone else.
Well, I think, well, and it's like, well, Jack says, he believes humanity is inherently good. Mm-hmm. I believe humanity is inherently bad.
Yeah.
And we had a nice little discussion about it, not too in depth, but I think that's what it comes down to. And for us, the way we believe in total depravity. Mm-hmm. We believe that mankind is unable to reach this attainable perfection, this attainable morality of perfection, if there is an afterlife, to reach heaven on our own, because we know we can't do it. That's the whole personage.
Personage.
Persona of Jesus and who he is and his salvation and who he is as God. That's the whole point. But if you don't carry that over to another human being,
right?
And you go to the restaurant and you say, hey, your tip is, you leave the tip as a track on the table. You know what I'm doing with that track? I'm throwing it in the trash. It doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah. Especially when you're leaving it so covertly. You kind of turn the receipt over and you slide the track under it. And my favorite one, Brooks, have you ever gotten the $1 million bill track?
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I get pamphlets, and I had a girl leave me her number on one, and it was like,
well, hey,
that's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
No, it was stupid. It was it was like, are you filled with the Holy Spirit because you're hot, come to my church? And then it was like she wrote John 3:16 and something else on it, and I was like, this is awful.
Girl.
This is terrible.
Girls. Yeah, you're right.
Them youth ministry girls are.
But yeah, the $1 million or the $1 million, the $1 billion, whichever bill, those are bad.
Yeah, those are the worst, because you think you got some money.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's a stinking
and it's
track.
Amazing how from such a distance away it looks like a few dollars or something.
Yeah.
No, it really does. And I'm like, people who do that, and it's like, you didn't even have the gall to tell them what this is about.
Right.
Because if
it's like a breakup
That's
note.
what kills me.
That's what it reminds me of. It's like a breakup note. You don't even have the guts to tell it to their face. You just leave a little track.
It would be one thing if they handed it to me and said, "Hey, come here," or whatever. Right. You're going to hell. You have a demon in you. Whatever. You're a terrible server. Please come to my church. Whatever. But to just leave it there so unceremoniously is.
Well, it drives me up the wall, because it's like, okay, here you go, young man. Here's a track, and this is what all this means. This is why I'm giving it to you, and I want you to know that. I want you to know that this is the reason I'm giving it to you, and I know you may not believe the way I do. And you go through this whole thing, and you're telling them, hey, kudos. Leaving it on the table, sneaking out of the restaurant, because you know what they're doing. Yeah. They're waiting till you're in the kitchen grabbing food, right, Brooks? Turning the check over so there's no tip on it, putting the track under there, and escaping out to not be seen.
Yep.
And my thing is you come back in next week and you don't think I don't remember you?
Exactly.
Yeah, this whole podcast revolved around this podcast. Go ahead and start thinking of the name of this podcast, because we got to do 2 parts to it.
All right, you got it.
My favorite thing to do is you pay with a credit card, and then you leave a 0 tip, but then you leave like 50% of cash underneath the check. Mm-hmm. So they're like, what a dick. And then they go to put the receipt out, and then it's like a $10 bill underneath there, and they're just like, oh. That's my favorite thing.
And then you're still mad at him because you're like, why would you mess with my emotions like that?
See, Robbie's the guy who just pisses people off, but but makes them happy in the end. And it's like
a Sour Patch.
It's like a carrot on a string. You'll eventually get it.
Perfect analogy.
Well, is it? Because it's like I really like the first part, but I hate the second part of the Sour Patch Kid. Is it in reverse?
First it's sour, then it's
First they're
sweet.
sour, then they're sweet.
Oh, I hate it. I don't think it's sweet. It's gross. I spit them out. Like I spit them out.
They're like sweet.
And then Ryan eats them.
I spit them out. Ryan picks them off the floor and eats it.
I can seriously believe that.
How long has this French fry been in my car?
You won't.
Man, never have two words cause so much damage.
That may be a podcast in itself as well.
What,
You
gotta
won't?
get Bobby for that one though.
Oh,
I got a lot
gosh.
of people.
That requires a video.
It's still a lot.
We got to get Bobby.
Yeah,
Chris,
a lot of editing. Oh my gosh, if I had Bobby Dagnese on this podcast, it'd be nothing but one dinosaur growl. You know, I've seriously thought about having him on. Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
He comes into the restaurant I work at
yeah, we should.
every now and then.
I'm sure he's down. You know, I think he's
My
changed a
fine
little bit.
establishment.
You know, being a proud papa now. But anyways, so
I guess.
He's still Bobby.
yeah,
He has to ask permission to do things now.
well,
Yeah. He.
So just tell Bobby to listen to the last part of this podcast.
Yeah. Jen said no.
Yeah, she at his best interest, she's good for him.
Yeah, she is.
So, man, we talked about a lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, a whole lot of stuff, and we're going to have to figure out how to edit this.
Yeah.
But Brooks and Ryan and Robbie and Graham and Keith, we do appreciate y'all being on with us tonight.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
dude. I want to do this a lot more. I like a lot more people. It's just it makes it a little more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Good dynamics.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
what did Ryan say? We missed that. No whispering.
Ryan said, "Stop making up words." I don't mean to brag, but I have a community college degree.
That's true. I've seen it.
Pretty fancy.
Yeah, he worked hard for
It was
that.
a hallucination.
Yeah, 8 years.
How long you been at college? 8 years. Community college?
Are you gonna be a doctor?
Yeah.
What are you going
My
for?
PhD in associate in art.
Put that on a plaque.
I'm qualified to do nothing still.
What'd you do your whole time there?
Man.
Welding.
I can write my name.
It took me 18 tries to get this math course right. I finally got it.
I finally got out of remedial math.
It was bad, man.
Look. I remember Brooks was starting out there at BCC. It was a long time ago. And he's like, man, I got remedial math. And I was like, remedial math? He's like, because you got to take the compass test or whatever. And you take it and it tells you, if you get so many points, you got to take this class to get up to college level. And I'm like, well, that's all right. And he goes, yeah, it wasn't all right. I walked into class. And what did she say to you? Or he say to you?
The woman, we started out with addition.
Mm-hmm. And it was like a question. It was like,
Oh yeah. She asked me. She said, if you have 5 oranges in one hand and 4 oranges in the other, how many? Or she said, what do you have? And I said, really big hands. And
I'm like, your math class is going to come. I mean, this is what I dealt with in youth ministry all the time.
and it was nice.
It was so crazy. They come in and they tell me the craziest stories, and I'm like,
Well, the bad part is me and Robbie thought we were in really crappy math classes. I think it was like 65 or something like that. Brooks is like, I'm in math 40.
Yeah. It goes that low?
Yeah, the way they did the system at BCC was there's math 111, which is the normal after high school one, and then if you go below that, it starts going 80, 70, 60,
That's what it was.
50, 40, and then I think there was a 30,
there is a 30.
but
It's just colors.
and I'm colorblind, so I would have done really bad in that. But yeah, math 40. I don't know what they could have done in math 30 because math 40 started out like addition. Do y'all know that? Okay, subtraction. Cool. Division. We'll do multiplication next week.
I could come in and this is me coming into class, and of course, since I'm a huge Chris Rock fan, coming into class, 2 + 2, Jello. But so, wow, man, this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be like the craziest thing. But I want to finish. We talked about a lot of stuff. Like I said, I always say we talk about a lot of stuff because we do talk about a lot of stuff. And I think we addressed a few issues that may be sensitive to people in the church, and they may not like it. And hey, this is what I'm down for. Comment on our Facebook page. I mean, go to our Facebook page and write whatever you want. We don't care. We'll delete it if we don't like it.
Yep.
Tweet at us. We love to respond.
Make it sound like you had something deleted.
Well, maybe. I've had a few things deleted.
Redacted.
But I think for us, we just want to start conversations, whether you like it or not. Even if you got a point of view that's different from ours, we want to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because what it does is it helps us to see. Because me and Justin we've already set in stone one thing in our life that we decided to do when we started Forgetting Walls, and it was at any moment we know we could be wrong, and we will ask the questions to see if we are wrong, and if we are wrong, and there's enough evidence into our faith and God changes our point of view, or if we come to the point of view that there is no God, then there may be a change of heart. I don't know. I don't think that'll ever happen for me, and I don't believe it'll ever happen for Justin.
If a UFO lands in front of me driving home, I might have some questions.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm holding it all in.
Hey, down where you live, that could happen.
Yeah.
I don't think them aliens.
They'll see the number 3 on top of your roof and
Probably.
I was gonna say aliens only land and abduct people in redneck areas.
Trailer parks, man. Tornadoes and aliens. They love them.
But it's just one of those things where we start trying to reach out, we start trying to work in a different way, and the only way we're going to do that is by asking ourselves the hard questions. I mean, people pick on Rob Bell all the time, and they can say what they want, but Rob Bell did one thing: he made people ask questions. Yep. I may not agree with his theology or his philosophy on anything, which that's neither here nor there. But man, he made me ask myself questions that made me dig really deep with God in my faith.
Absolutely.
And I said, hey, more power to him. I mean, do I have to believe like he does? Do I have to agree with him? No. But it doesn't. I don't have to look out there and call him, hey, you stupid heretic.
Right. Stop
doing what you're doing. That's just retarded and nobody's going to hear that. They're going to hear a dinosaur growling. They're going to go, what did he say? And everybody's laughing at him. Don't worry about it. But it's completely ignorant to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we come from. We want to stop that, Nobody here knows for sure that what we believe is right. If you believe it, then believe it with all your heart and your conviction, and follow it as close as you can. But don't force what you're doing on somebody else just because you think it should be. Build a relationship with them, because I think your faith will grow or go further with another human being if you see that you're treating, or if they see that you're treating them just like you want to be treated. You're treating them with love. You're treating them as who they are as a person. You learn who they are. It changes everything. And yes, everything comes back to the woman at the well.
Right.
And for us at Forgetting Walls.
Yeah.
Jesus sat with her, dude. He spoke to her.
He's beside her.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, he said, yeah, you don't have a husband, but you've had not just one husband, you have 5.
Right.
He did say that, but he didn't throw it in her face. Now you got to go do 60 Hail Marys and whatever, or
right.
or you got to go down to the altar and kneel and pray for repentance. He's just like, he said, I'm the one, and she realized that he was speaking truth to her. She realized that, wow, he told me everything about me. And this is what I'm saying: we get a snapshot of a conversation in the Bible.
Yep.
We don't know what that full conversation was like.
Right.
And I'll say that's how I believe. People can call me stupid or whatever, but I believe that was just a snapshot of the Bible, because when she went back into that town, she goes, he told me everything about me. And everybody thinks, well, sinner, he told you all about you. But could you imagine the conversation that woman and Jesus had at that well?
Yeah.
And the fact that he sat down at the well in the first place with a woman who was a Samaritan and was a woman. I mean, two very big things. I mean, you saw the disciples come up and like, well, what are you doing?
Right.
It shows us who we need to be in every instance, with social justice or just being human. And when you hear stories like Brooke told tonight, when Brooks told us these stories tonight, Mr. Soupy, that's soup-e.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yes, Lord.
But when you hear stories like that from people, and you're a Christian, if that doesn't make you cringe and want to go out and not, I would love to smack a person that does that, but I know that's not going to do any good.
Right.
I know it may make Brooks feel better.
Yeah, it might make me feel better too.
Yeah, but I think those are the points where you got to say, look, man, y'all, this is what's causing our problems.
Right.
And if you don't start changing the way you see people, Jesus might not change the way he sees you. And this is a very Christian perspective that we put on the podcast today. It's probably the most overtly Christian themed podcast we've had since we've been on. But it's really important to speak our faith in what we believe and how we should act to those around us, whether they're outside or inside.
Yeah.
Maybe it reaches somebody. Maybe it reaches their hearts and say, that person could really love me. Even though he's a complete idiot, he could probably still love me, and that's what I want to show. I mean, that's why we wanted to have so many people on, and I still did most of the talking. 6 people on, and I still got 80% of the talking. Just works out that way. But I want to finish up the podcast by doing this. I'm going to put everybody on the spot.
Okay, go for it.
We're going to put everybody on the spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody, since we're doing this for the first time, I think we'll do this more often. I like this format. Even if we have to Skype in like 8 people, we'll figure out how to do it.
Hi.
You have to Skype in.
Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of
There's
y'all
only 2 people here who
that need to Skype in, and I can do that.
Skype, buddies.
I'll Skype on my Xbox One.
Whoa. I can do that.
Whoa.
Give me a mark.
Didn't realize we were going to get into class and wealth issues in here. Jeez.
My goodness, he had to go to the Xbox One.
A level
did.
above.
Man.
So, we like to finish up the podcast very lightheartedly with a little something funny. So I give everybody a chance. One reminiscent memory that's just completely out there of us.
Man.
It could be individualistic. It could be as a group as a whole. Ron's got something. We'll let Ron go first.
The game Keys.
Keys.
Oh.
Man, I still got bruises.
Okay, so explain what Keys is.
Keys is a game where a bunch of dudes, preferably dudes, not girls,
Yeah.
get in a circle and...
We're not saying that girls can't play.
Yeah, no.
they can.
I just don't want to.
They just probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah. They're smarter.
But duly noted. You take your car keys and you throw them in the circle of guys, and the goal is to get the car keys in your pocket, and that's it.
By any means necessary. But
There is a but.
There's only 2 rules: no face or groin, and everything else goes.
And he means by face or groin being punched,
Hit,
kicked,
been
kneed,
pinched.
elbowed.
slapped.
I was thinking the elbow drop.
I was
yeah.
told this game from some fun Northerners, Jonathan Seiler.
Yeah, them Yankees, man.
I'm pretty sure Jonathan just has an abusive personality.
He does. I remember day one. I was like, Graham, I've got this cool game. And for people who don't know what Graham looks like, he's a farm boy and he's pretty beefy. Anyways,
Well, he's not so beefy anymore.
No, not anymore.
Lost a few pounds.
But it was me, Graham, Robbie,
And Chris.
and Chris. I think, was Wesley there?
Oh yeah, this was his house.
Yeah. And I was just
Wow.
like, let's do this. We're going to throw these keys and we're going to beat the snot out of each other.
Wesley wasn't there because I don't remember getting beat up that bad.
No. Yeah. And Graham wouldn't hit us hard enough.
Yeah, we were like, Graham, hit us 100%. He's like, I'm only going to hit you 60.
This is what
The terrible part was we brought this to youth. And we were like,
Yeah.
30-hour famine? That's what I want to do.
Oh, man.
We broke out a piece of cardboard like it was
tournament out of it.
There's
Yeah.
nothing worse than a bunch of hungry guys fighting.
And then, of course, I show up and it's like, what are y'all doing?
Nothing.
We're not doing anything.
And then I reach down to pick up the keys. I'm like, so nobody's going to hit me? The funny thing is we were in here, me and Justin were in here last night planning, and we was talking to my wife, and she's like, y'all really need to get some female on the podcast. This is why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, when it comes to violence in this group, and I could, man, like we talked about earlier about wrestling on the trampoline, there's plenty. I mean, the clap game.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was gonna do. My favorite thing to reminisce on would be like the day I got baptized. Me and Ryan were just like, we were like, let's get Keith. Let's tackle him into the sand at the beach, because that's where I got baptized at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And so Ryan was like, "You go for the legs, and I'll go for the upper body." And I was like, "All right, man, let's do it."
Yeah.
And so like Keith's walking away, and we like run up behind him, and I grab his legs. Ryan jumps on his body, and Keith just like slams into the sand.
And it works.
But since Ryan went for the upper body, Ryan's right there, right next to Keith, and so that's the first thing Keith grabs. It's Ryan.
No. We ran. We both ran.
Oh yeah.
And I was
Y'all
just
did
like,
ran.
I'm just gonna run anywhere. And I ran straight into the water, the one place that's terrible to run. So I'm trying to high stick away from my dad. Too late, he's on me. Grabs my face and uses the bottom of my mouth as a shovel. All the way through the sand. And then
And I'm back at the pier, and Keith's just like, "You're next," and he's like, "But I'm never gonna tell you when I'm gonna get you back."
strike one.
And that was strike one.
That was how that started.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Did you ever get strike 3?
Oh, yeah.
I got up. At one point in time, I got to the point where I was like, I wonder how many strikes I can get
Yeah.
before he'll actually take one off. I got up to 7.
Yeah.
That's one of the dumbest things that a human's ever said.
Yeah.
How many strikes could I get?
Yeah, and for those who don't understand the strike system, it was just a system where, as a youth pastor, I wouldn't get them in front of other human beings that were adults at the church.
Well, I did. I never got strikes because it was just instantaneously consequence.
Which reminds me of the time that we were playing like ultimate frisbee or football at Schlote Park, and I decided to go take a pee break.
Oh, no.
And we were like, let's shake the porta potty. Let's shake the porta potty.
See, this is the thing. It's like guys are so dumb that they will enact pain and punishment upon themselves consistently
Just
for doing the
2
same
seconds of
thing.
laughing. Just for 2 seconds of laughing.
No, think of all the laughing we did afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all laughed quite a bit. I laughed with y'all. And then later that afternoon, when we were at the church, Ryan got choked out.
Yeah.
That was a good one because it was so good. He got mad, and I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
The madder he got, the better I felt.
The worst one for me was the 30-hour famine, and I was just so tired.
Yeah, that was my favorite strike.
And I'm like sleeping on like uncomfortable chairs.
He's
So
nicing
bad.
out, and my way of getting strikes back was to punch right between where the butt and the thigh meets.
So it was just like the biggest Charlie horse ever.
Yeah, and I would jump in the air with my hand as far as I could and come straight down with this much force and make it hurt. And I wanted to do it at the most inopportune, unpleasant times because that was the whole point of the strike. It wasn't supposed to be fun.
No.
But yeah, we're we're just a violent people. I don't know why. Just we are. So yeah, good reminiscing stories. Because I mean, like the clap game. Of course, all my violence really comes out, of course, against a couple of the guys in the youth group because they're the ones who poke the bear the most.
See, I didn't poke the bear.
Yeah, I don't really have any violent stories that I remember.
No.
I mean, to me, I saw a lot. But
Yeah. It's funny that I wasn't fired as a youth pastor.
I was the one filming most of it.
yeah,
Justin was. We have lots of footage.
Yeah.
we do.
It was quite an interesting story. We just, I think, as a group of guys, it's fun to sit around and talk about old stuff. We talked about camping trips, man, the food we ate.
Speaking of camping
Butthole
trips,
Butthole biscuits.
Fill them with M&Ms and bacon, and then you close them up and eat them.
All right, so let me preface this by saying
Dad loves the butthole biscuits. Let that go on the record. I'm so glad I said those 2 words.
so. They're like, "Hey, we got a good idea. We're gonna make biscuits."
So again,
Wesley Mintz is the genius behind it. So we had
He's behind most things.
he has these 1-inch dowel rods, right, that are like 3 feet long, and it's like they ball up this dough with stuff in it, and they put it on
Get
the
the Pillsbury
end.
dough from like the container just straight out and just stick it on the end of
They put it on the stick, and they put it in the fire and cook it, and it
works.
cooks up, and it works.
Yeah.
And they pull it off, and they call them butthole biscuits.
That's what they look like. I right first. I just got all smoky and gray, and I don't know.
They were trying to give him the camera
Smoky
and he
and
was
gray.
asleep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Just
And the inside was still like gooey.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's just put it like this: there's a billion camping stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about the ones where you guys went to the camp next door because you had to poop.
Oh my
You brought the
gosh!
shovel, and then they came and started setting up camp where you just pooped.
I had pooped in someone else's campsite. I forgot about that. I was thinking about when
They
me
didn't.
and Andrew had walked back in our underwear, and Dad was like, "Why don't you have pants on?" And we were just trying to play it off so hard that I couldn't.
It was. Let's just put it like this: being a youth pastor for these guys.
Remember
It's a
Centrifuge?
Yep.
Ryan.
Let's just put it like this: if the podcast was, if we started the podcast with this, we probably never got to any other point
Nope.
tonight.
Nope.
So we're going to do this. We had some good laughs today. We're going to get back together again. We're going to do more of this. Episode 12 was epic in my mind because it's a 2-parter.
Yep.
And we're finishing up tonight on part 2. We want to thank you so much for joining us and listening. These guys were great.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thanks,
not you,
man.
Justin.
You're here all the time. You don't count.
It's just me and you all the time.
I'll be around.
So we want to thank everybody for listening and joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed. And signing off, I'm Keith.
I'm Justin. We're going to go around.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm also Keith.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Brooks.
I'm Robbie.
Graham.
And here at Forgetting Walls, we're always telling you and reminding you that people are not projects. They're people just like you and me. So love them like you love yourself. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes, leave us a rating to help us spread the word about this podcast. Remember, the only way this works is if you share your story. So be sure to visit the website and leave us a comment at forgettingwalls.com or find us on Twitter at forgettingwalls and facebook.com/forgettingwalls.
Peace!
I find your lack of faith disturbing.